On to the next one. Hello, I'm Chris, and today I'm going to talk about Google Drive. Watching the past series of videos, you might have noticed that the overarching theme is productivity and tools for Mac and overall useful tools for workflow stuff in terms of digital work. So today is another day for another tool, and that tool is Google Drive, which is basically a replacement for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, including file storage in the cloud and collaboration features. So let's talk about every single one of these. When I started setting up computers, one of the first programs I installed on every single one of them was Microsoft Office, because editing files and writing documents was basically all we did in school and also university. But over the years that changed, and this expensive tool called Microsoft Office got replaced by other tools. And one of those tools is Google Drive. And I really like Google Drive because it is a free alternative to all those tools. So you can have Excel, PowerPoint, and Word in the cloud, synchronized for collaboration for free. And that is amazing. Now, I don't really want to just brag about how cool this tool is. I want to show you how you can use this tool in the day-to-day life with all the features I just mentioned. So let's switch to the computer and I will show you. First of all, this is obviously a Google product, so you will need a Google account to actually use it. If you are against having a Google account, you're out of luck. This tool is not for you. I'm sorry, you will have to use either the alternatives by other makers, or you have to use Microsoft Office 360, or just use the local installation. For everybody who wants to use Google Drive, let's go into it. First, you have the website, and you get 15 gigabytes of free storage if you are using the normal user system. If you use this for the Google Apps for Work, which I might do a video in the future, then you actually get a lot more storage there because it is paid. But you can also have a paid plan here. So you can have either 100 gigabytes or a terabyte or 10 terabytes. Or if you're really serious, you want to have more storage, you can have 20 or 30 as well. I personally have the Google Apps for Work, which is basically a unlimited storage solution. And as mentioned, you can check this out here in the top for work, and there is more storage included. Then next to the storage, one other thing I want to mention before is you can actually have Google Drive installed on your Mac or your Windows or even on your mobile phones. And that way you can synchronize the files between those. They all have different kinds of features. On the computer, you, for example, have a Google Drive folder, which helps you basically upload files to the Google Drive, and also it will download files that are added from another computer. On your mobile phone, you have the option to save certain files for offline storage, and of course you can also edit the files with certain applications, and they have an application for documents and one for spreadsheets and one for documents. So these are the first couple of steps. You have mobile apps, you have a computer app, and you can have more storage. But in terms of storage, one thing is very interesting to know. The Google files, so the documents, the spreadsheets, and the PowerPoint presentations actually do not count towards this 15 gigabyte storage limit. So you can have unlimited of those. The storage basically is used for photos, for music files, for PDF documents, whatever you want to store on there. So just working with the documents in a collaborative manner, you will not have to use any more storage, because those are either really small, or you can actually use the normal documents, and those are included for free. So now let's switch to the application. If you go to this site first, then you will have a Go to Google Drive up here, and I think on the main page it is as well, Go to Google Drive. And once you click that, you will either have to log in or register, and then you will have something like this. This is basically the Google Drive management dashboard. You have your files in the middle, you have your folder structure and certain special folders on the left, and you have activity and details on the right. You can switch this up to a more of a grid view or a list view. I personally prefer the list view because I have more details in terms of ownership and when the files were last modified, and also the sorting is a little bit easier. Then of course you can have more settings and keyboard shortcuts. I always talk about keyboard shortcuts. I personally love them. So taking a look in here after a little bit of use and getting to know what you could do with keyboard shortcuts is really helpful. Again, things like opening files, navigating, going to the search, renaming files or previewing files. Those are really, really helpful. But now let's go on to documents, because I think text documents are actually one of the most important things in terms of collaboration. If you want to write a text together, if you want to write a thesis together or what have you, it's always going to be text documents. Also copywriting for businesses or script writing for videos. Those things are always in text documents. And the easiest thing you can do there is just hit new, and then you can say Google Doc. And also with this little arrow here, you have the option to do a more in-depth new document, basically either blank document, which would happen as well if you just hit this icon here, or you can choose from a template. And sometimes those templates are really helpful because you want to, for example, create a resume, then they have resumes for you, or letters and stuff like that. And they also have complete brochures and stuff like that. So it's really a nice handful of templates. But let's go with the blank document. So now we are in the document editor, and it basically looks like a standard Word or any other text editor. You have the menu bar at the top, which could also look like this, because you can have this as well. If I'm working longer in a text document, I really prefer to have it this way. You can also have it down and change this with a button to the right here. But you can basically just have more screen space and for the document management. Then of course you can rename the file by clicking up here. There you can just put a new name, and let's say we call this test. So now we have renamed the file, and then there are two new icons, the star and the move to. The star is actually something of these special folders where starred items appear under this starred icon, which helps really to just navigate faster and find certain files faster that are very important to you. The move to makes sense if you have more files stored and folder structure set up, because then you can actually move the file directly to a certain folder, and that is sometimes really handy. So let's move this up and let's focus on the editor, which basically is just like Word. You have the menu bar here, you can bold, make stuff italic, underline, and also have all the text alignment features, coloring, font sizes, and all kinds of different fonts. And you can actually have a lot of fonts because there is the Google Font Network behind this, which is an almost unlimited amount of fonts you can use. Then of course, if you want to do more in-depth things, you can also have the stuff up here where you, for example, can do more formatting. You can also insert line breaks and stuff like that. I personally, again, keyboard shortcuts, if you type something and you hit Command and Enter, you see now a line break appeared, and this is really helpful. With line breaks, there's some feature that I really like, because this way it is just a continuous page basically, and the dotted line here shows the line break. But if you go to View and you hit Print Layout, then it actually is a normal page. So you basically have the full white page and then the next page. This is, I think it's more important to do it like this if you are proofreading something or want to see if the line breaks are at the right position. But I prefer it to be in this non-print layout, because this way I can see my text even though it is not filling up the page. It's much easier to navigate this way. Then we come to the collaboration features, which are incredible. You have this top right side here where you have the comments, the share, and the editing. And this editing button basically changes if you do edit the file, basically just change the file immediately. You can do the viewing, which does not let you change anything. And then also there's the suggestion. And the suggestion is really helpful if you are working with multiple people, because that way you can type something again here and say, for let's say a new sentence, which would be hello, how are you? And this way you see here there are actually comments and they show what changed. And basically what happens is now I can go in here and have another person suggest changes, and then I can approve those changes or I reject those changes. And I want to approve those two right now, but this is obviously not interesting if you are the only one working on this file. It might be interesting if you give your document or your computer to another person and they should proofread your file and then you want to accept or decline the changes. But it is really, really helpful if you actually share the file via the internet. And that's what I'm going to talk about now, because up here to the right there is this share button, and currently this file is private to me, so nobody else besides me can view or edit this file. But if I would want to have other people collaborating with me, I could now invite them via email. So I could put an email address here, and then I could also say can comment, can view, or can edit. The can comment also can make those suggestions which I just showed you. But what I'm going to do now is get a shareable link. So I just click on the top right here, and then I get a link and I can say what people can do who have this link. For example, I can say they can view the file, they can comment the file, and they can edit the file. You actually want to think about what other people should be able to do, because if you open this file up for editing for everybody, then everybody who has this link can actually change the file and you will have the problem to figure out what they did there. So I think this is probably not very useful in most cases, but in some cases it actually is. Personally, if I want to have something that other people can edit the file, then I will invite them via email and not just share a link with them, because sharing a link with the world, the link can end up somewhere and then weird people are going to edit your file and you don't want that. Viewing is a completely different story. If you just want to have people view the file, it is really, really useful, because sometimes, for example, if you want to share pictures or maybe even a book introduction or a book description and you want to share that with your readers or on social media or something, then this anyone with link can view might be actually really, really useful. And then there is the anyone with link can comment. I think this is very useful if you want to share a document with a certain group of people, but you don't want to invite every single one of them, and this way you can just share this link so everybody can make suggestions on what they would change in the file. And that way I have seen people write books and have their fans actually comment or suggest and change things, and that really works very well for some people, and I think this is a very, very powerful feature. For project work, obviously sharing a folder, which I will show at the end of the video as well, is more useful, because that way people can actually create new files and they are instantly shared with everybody who is already part of this folder. But for now, to just quickly demonstrate this sharing capabilities and making comments in another document, and also the collaboration which basically happens in real time, I will show you this with the can comment right now, because I copied this link here and then I say done, and now I will create a new window, which is in this case an incognito window, which basically means that this is not a logged in user. So now actually I am a second user, and in the original document you see this small blue icon, which basically shows me that there is someone else inside this document right now, and I see this as anonymous because the other person here in the incognito is not logged in and does not share its username with the document. So basically it just means that here there's an anonymous editor or a commenter, and then I have the original on the left. Here comes also the comment feature, which is quite nice, because now I can open this up and I can see the comments here and I can just comment on those. So now you can see that we have on the left the original and on the right the incognito window with the file. And here obviously the setting which I normally use with the print layout is not active, so I just deactivated that as well, that we don't have the print layout. This way I can see all the changes made here. So now if I would change things on the right side, so let's say I make this a hello, you are going to see that there's a suggestion to remove these characters and to add this uppercase H, and there's a comment on the right. But the same thing in the same time also appeared on the left side, so it is real time and the other person can actually see instantly how the document changed. And also if the original creator here on the left side changes the file and, for example, adds a lorem ipsum or whatever you have, then it is also doing the same thing on the right side. The same applies to coloring or bolding. So if I do this and then let's say highlight the text in yellow, this will also happen on the other screen. If I do the same thing reverse, I want to unbold this, I can unbold it, but it is again a suggestion, and that's why it's here in red. And I can now say if I want to accept this change and I, for example, reject this change. So now is back to the ASDF and small h and not the upper H, because I rejected that change, but the unbolding of the ipsum, I did accept that change. That's why it now works like this. So this is really a simple example of how this collaborative feature works. I really like it, and I think it is something that is very, very helpful to work with documents in Teams, and to do that in a faster way than to send documents back and forth. People should just be able to edit the documents right there or make suggestions inside the document, not having to edit the file and send it back, because then names of files are always going to be mixed up. So the next thing is we go back to the folder structure and I show you how to share folders and files right there. Now, as you can see on the screen, we have this file called test, and it actually shows this small sharing thing, and in the right detail view it also indicates that it is shared with a link. And if we would like to remove that or change it or invite someone to be able to edit it, we would be able to do this with this share button up here, and then we can see it right there. What we can also do on the share screen, we can actually click on the can comment, and obviously we can change how people interact with this file, but we also can change it back to off. So this link is actually no longer working, and if I open it again in incognito mode without logging in, then it asks me to log in to actually check if I'm able to view this file. So now we have disabled the share link, and if I go down, so now it actually does not show the share icon, and it also shows that this file is not shared. But if I wanted to work on a project with other people, I would, as mentioned before, actually create a folder, and that is just a right click, or I can also go to new and new folder, and let's name this project. And now I can, for example, move this file into this folder. And now I have the folder project, and it has this one file. And if I wanted to share this, I can just either right click and make share or get shareable link, or I can just click this icon at the top right and invite people. Again, I can also get a shareable link, and the same thing applies. I can either make people able to edit the folder or just view the folder. Again, in general, probably the best idea is to just do view and not edit, but sometimes this might be useful to actually have other people be able to edit that folder. And of course, you can invite people via email. That is much more granular, and you can change if they can view or if they organize, add and edit that folder. But it is per person, so you can change this per person. You can have one person be able to organize, add and edit, and you can have another who can only view the folder. I think this is probably one of the most useful tools in Google Drive, having this continuous and real-time editing mixed together with folders that are being synced between teams. Now, of course, it's not just Word to be replaced with documents, it's also the Excel and the PowerPoint, and there you have Google Sheets and you have Google Slides, and those actually work pretty much exactly the same way. You create a file. In this case, it asked me if I want to create it really inside this folder, because files in that folder are instantly being shared with the whole team in that folder, or all the people who are able to access that folder. And other than that, the Excel basically works the same as the documents. You have the pretty much same features which you would expect from a Word. You can do formulas, you can do normal calculations, you can do formatting, you can do all these things. And again, you can also make the editing bigger with this little arrow keys there. And then, of course, you can share. In this case, it is based on the cells. So if, for example, one person is typing inside this cell, then nobody else can type inside that cell at the same time. But another cell will be able to edit. So you can edit here and another person can edit here, but you cannot both edit the same cell. One more thing that's really helpful is that Google Drive is obviously optimized for Google Chrome, and in Google Chrome you can actually use the offline storage capabilities, which are hidden away in this little gear icon, and there you can go into the settings. In the settings you have this offline area where you can activate the offline sync, which basically means that files like documents and spreadsheets are available on your computer for offline editing, which is super helpful if you are, for example, working in a train or a plane. And this actually makes it a perfect replacement for example, Office, because you can create new documents, you can edit documents, and you can share documents, and I really love it. So this concludes my view of Google Drive. I think it's super helpful, especially if you are collaborating with other people on either spreadsheets or documents. This is very powerful, and it is a great alternative, for example, to Office and Dropbox. Now, if this video was helpful for you, please like the video and leave a comment down below if you have any more questions. Also, subscribe to this channel and connect with me on my other social media accounts. I am @SpiegelIO everywhere. I will see you in the next video and have a nice day.